I did a quick Google search of NPR Trump racism, and I found, and here we go. These are some of the headlines I found. So, White House defends Trump use of racist term to describe coronavirus. That term was the Kung Flu, which is hilarious and
wildly racist.
Doesn't seem racist in any way. Racist. Go back where you came from, the long rhetorical roots of Trump's racist tweets. So that's Trump saying, go back where you came from if you don't like it in America. If you don't like it here, leave. So the NPR story, they're basically claiming that right-wing news sites, their primary target is the Daily Wire, but also The Blaze, Breitbart, and The Western Journal gets named.
Imagine that.
They are claiming that right-wing news sites, all they do are repackage mainstream media's stories, remove a bunch of context, and then put it out to help serve their agenda. And then they're also saying that we're using outrage to help sell these stories. So they don't do as well with CNN because CNN's not looking for outrage. They're looking to give us the facts.
Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are.
And so, they said we're using outrage as a business model. And then they specifically say in the article, right after mentioning us, that these sites publish aggregated and opinion content aimed at invoking outrage and have been generally more successful at it than legacy news outlets.
Really?
So they do give us those props. But it's the notion that we're the ones creating the outrage, like the only reason our stories invoke outrage is because the left is doing so many things that are so outrageous.
Outrageous.
NPR is supporting so many things that are so outrageous. And for them to just sit there and say that we're the only ones doing this, well, that is absolutely ridiculous. So I pulled some headlines that we're going to show you guys from NPR articles that were, that NPR ran over the course of the past few years that kind of shows that they're the ones using outrage as a tool to get more clicks. And well, I guess we'll show some quotes from the story first, just kind of.
Well, that's outrageous to me, I'll tell you.
But we had some, so if we could put up the headlines, basically all of these stories that NPR has put out over the past several years during Trump's time in office have just been how Trump is so racist. Trump's racism.
Bigoted.
Trump is bigoted. Trump is, how is he promoting racism from the presidential office? And none of them are true. All of them are taking quotes from Trump out of context, and they're trying to push this particular narrative that has been shown time and again to be completely false.
So how many did you find off the top of your head?
Oh, man. So
you
literally
were outside my office and you kept saying, oh, well, I found another one. Or
as soon as I wanted to start putting this piece together, okay, the first thought that came into my mind was, wait, we're the ones who try to benefit from outrage? And so I did a quick Google search of NPR Trump racism, and I found, and here we go. These are some of the headlines I found. So White House defends Trump use of racist term to describe coronavirus. That term was the Kung Flu. Which is hilarious and
wildly racist.
Doesn't seem racist in any way.
Racist.
Go back where you came from, the long rhetorical roots of Trump's racist tweets. So that's Trump saying, go back where you came from if you don't like it in America. If you don't like it here, leave. Yeah, that's leave. There's
or
nothing
at least
to do with.
Leave D.C. That was the other thing that was so funny about that. When that whole controversy broke, it's like, no, he doesn't think that people who were born here need to go back to other countries.
Absolutely not what
They need to leave D.C. They need to get out of the business of serving the country.
And, Trump has so many minorities that support him, and he supports so many minorities. Like the idea that it's like he wants them all to go back home rather than he wants people complaining and that hate this country to leave is ridiculous. And so, we had those headlines. And then there are some quotes that I wanted to pull up from the story itself that really kind of reveal where the mind is at for the writer of this article. So this is talking about the Daily Wire, but also about the Western Journal and other sites. The site produces little original reporting, but instead mostly repackages journalism from traditional news organizations with a conservative slant. Then we got the next quote coming up. But the Daily Wire has turned anger into an art form and recycled content into a business model. And so just talking on that point, before we move on to this last quote, that we do repackage a lot of content, but we're not removing content.
So do they, using the AP and Reuters.
And that every outlet does that. But the important distinction here is, they claim that we are repackaging content and removing context. What's actually happening? We're taking the stories that they're running with and we're providing the important context that they don't want to give to you because they don't want to support a conservative angle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when I say they, I mean the establishment media. They pull from Reuters and AP all the time. That's the only. In fact, those of you who are out there, this is maybe kind of inside baseball. You might not know this. That's the reason AP and Reuters exist. Is for people to recycle their content.
Yeah,
that's the reason they exist, and that's the way that newspapers and the mainstream media actually exist. That's how they're able to do it.
And you know, they have the audacity to claim like, oh, we're just you know, misleading people, and they're the ones with the great hard hitting journalism. This third quote that I pulled from this story is just, it's an example of them not doing their due diligence. So an NPR review of stories on the Daily Wire about COVID-19 pandemic over the past 2 months found numerous stories about potential side effects from the COVID-19 vaccines. Well, those seem like important stories to report on, but none that portrayed the scientifically demonstrated efficacy of the vaccines. So they're claiming there are no Daily Wire stories that they found in their analysis, their hard-hitting analysis, that claimed that COVID vaccines had any sort of effectiveness. I went on Google, I typed in Daily Wire vaccine effectiveness, and I found at least 6. The only reason I didn't find more is I didn't keep looking. 6 stories where in the story it says the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is 94% effective. The Pfizer vaccine is 95% effective. Like, the Daily Wire has said this time and time and time again, and yet seems like
NPR
the NPR must have missed that in their analysis.
They didn't miss it. They're just lying about it. They are straight up lying about it. And NPR, if you want to know why people like the Western Journal, like the Daily Wire, like the Daily Caller exist, it's because you lie. It's because you have spent years, decades lying to the American people.